Titans Global. Let's go. Started with a vision, two voices in the mix. Max and Link together, building something that'll stick. Every episode we drop, yeah, we're reaching new heights. Titans Global on the map, burning bright every night. From the first recording session to the fans that tune in, we've been grinding every day, yeah, we're destined to win. Titans Global, that's the name, that's the brand, we the fans. Speaking truth through the microphone, messages that we send. Titans Global, that's the movement. Titans Global, feel the power. Titans Global, we keep pushing. Titans Global, this our hour. Titans Global, Max and Link. Titans stronger than you think. Titans Global, that's the way. Titans Global, every single day.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and as you can see, Link is off his vacation, so he's back. What's up, Link? How you feeling tonight?
Yeah, pretty good. Good to be back. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us. Had a little vacation, but couldn't pick a better time to come back, I guess. Lots to talk about tonight. We've got a post-game reaction. We will get into that as much as we can, but obviously there is much bigger news with the Titans as an organization. But before we get into it, like, subscribe, comment, get in the comment sections. Whole lots to comment about. I know everybody's got opinions. I know everybody has who's going to be the next coach. So with that, get in there and we'll get right into it.
Yeah, so big news of the night. Brian Callahan has been fired. No longer the Titans head coach. And I'll be honest with you, after the game, I was incredibly dejected. We talked about it last week at halftime. I felt the same way. I was almost sick or disgusted, whatever verb you want to use with that. We do appreciate you stopping by, talking about dark times. But no, it's true, man. I have not witnessed a Titans team this bad. And there's a reason for that. The last time we scored 83 points or less, you have to go all the way back to the Oiler days of 1985, which is exactly 1 year before I was born, which is fucking crazy, dude. Sorry to use language in the first 5 minutes. We will go over a lot of stats tonight that will talk about how terrible the Titans team has been. It is the hardest. I've been watching it ever since they came over. They were in help me out, Memphis playing. Mm-hmm. I still watch the team. I was still happy to have a team in Tennessee. But yeah, it's like you said, Ryan. It's hard to get excited. It's hard to get excited. I mean, even when we have plays like the fumble that wasn't a fumble. Bullshit, by the way. It was a fumble, but it wasn't a fumble. Okay, sure, whatever. Take those points away from us. It's cool. It was just awful. I mean, it was miserable watching it. I mean, there were some of the players you could tell was trying to spark, but there just wasn't there.
Yeah, and I told you during the game, like, if they're going to win this game, it's going to have to be the defense. They're going to need something crazy like a pick six or a fumble recovered for a touchdown, which granted they almost have, but that's going to be the only way. Like, this offense is just completely flat. They just can't do anything with the ball, and I feel like that's a lot of the reason that what happened today, that's why it happened, because Callahan was brought in to be an offensive guru. He was brought in to fix things, to become more of a diverse offense. And like, they've regressed. And now you see Cam Ward, your young rookie quarterback, like, he's starting to get bad habits. He played maybe his worst game, which he's had a lot of bad games, but it just feels like he's getting worse. And he's getting some of the habits you don't want him to take through to next year and towards the end of this year. So, and going into the locker room, reports were that Callahan was like yelling at him because like of what the mistakes he was making and what was going on. And I just don't feel like the two ever meshed. And look, this was the thing with Levis. Like, we saw a a obvious regression from Will Levis from the Vrabel time to the Callahan time. So this is a guy who has worked with some of the best quarterbacks in the league, but just doesn't have the ability to develop players. And we saw that game after game after game, which eventually led to a 4-19 record, 4-20 record. So it just wasn't working. And look, like, I know it's hard for people to stomach because this feels like a lost year anyway, but it had to happen. Like, at some point you've got to make a change just for the sake of making a change. And if it wasn't this week, it was next week when Vrabel comes to town. Like, I feel like they almost did him the courtesy of saving him that embarrassment. But like, you got to realize too, Vrabel wasn't coming in here to beat up on Callahan. Like, he has a lot deeper resentment for this organization as a whole, in my opinion. So yeah, he's going to be looking up at the press box more than he was going to be looking across the sideline to Callahan. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting week, interesting time to make this decision. By like 2 weeks ago, my thought was they're probably just going to ride it out to the end of the year. But again, I think Cam Ward is playing so poorly that you've got to make a change and just try to fix some of these bad habits we're starting to see take effect.
Yeah, and so, I'll be honest with you. A lot of the room, I've heard more than from one person or source or whatever you want to call the people that I know that are close to the Titans organization. More than one person I've heard that he got a little raw with him in the locker room and in front of everybody, and that's just not the way you do things, man. And we saw it on the sideline with Will Levis in front of all the cameras last year. So I don't see that it's too much of a stretch to believe that he would do something like that in the locker room. So that kind of stuff is the problem for me, is when you start hurting a young developing player. And I feel like that's what he was doing. I even posted up today before he was fired about how poorly the offense was run last game and how we were handcuffing Cam Ward with this offense that they're running.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just no concept. Like, and I think a lot of it had to do with the post-game comments in the locker room. Like, you heard Jeffrey Simmons saying it was their worst week of practice and they just weren't able to stack wins. And like, you just, as a leader on this team, you don't expect guys like that to say that, like, that's just not what you hear out of a competitive football team. And I understand the frustration, but we heard the same things last year. And then Cam Ward's comments at the presser, like, it just, like, that's not how you build a winning team. That's not how you build a winning organization. And I'm not saying that Callahan ever lost the locker room, but I don't think he had control of this team whatsoever. It just never felt, with the undisciplined stuff, it just never felt like he had control of this team. And then you look at the scheme and it's like, okay, when is Cam Ward at his best? It's the off script, the high tempo. Like, that's when we've seen him make his best plays, and they got away from that. We were told we were going to see a lot more no huddle, that things were going to move quicker and he could kind of play off script. That didn't happen. We were told that Tajay Spears was going to have more involvement. He had 5 carries. Like, so it just, even the scheme itself that he says he's going to put on the field, he's not able to do. And then Bo Hardigreaves gets play calling, but I don't even really know how much play calling. It was still the same scheme. It was still the same game plan. And then to come out and then get the ball to start the game and then run 3 times. Like, I understand it was 3rd and 1. Like, you expect to pick that up, but just do something different. Like, it's the same thing game after game after game. There's no mixing it up. And now they've gone to this screen pass, which is so obvious that they're going to do it. Teams are preparing for this. Like, it's not working. It just hasn't been working. So again, you had to make a change just for the sake of making a change. So I guess, is it McCoy is coming in as the interim, which I don't know. Like, that almost feels like a situation where they offered it to a couple guys, they turned it down, and then this was a last ditch effort, in my opinion. I think Bones Fossil was probably offered it first, but like you're not taking like I think he's happy where he's at on special teams. Like he's been one of the only bright spots on this team this year. I don't think he wants the heat of taking an interim head coaching job. So here we are. And we'll see how they do going forward.
So 2 things there. First of all, you said you were talking about Cam and the comfortability and the blah 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 blah. So I agree. The for me in college, what he excelled at was RPO, play action, and moving the pocket.
Yep.
So and those plays, the percentage of those plays went down dramatically over the last 3 weeks, and I don't understand why. It was just like they kept doing less and less and less of it. So I agree with you 100% there that they were stunting his growth, handcuffing his with this terrible freaking offense that they're playing. But at the second point you were making was crap, and I've lost it.
Scheme, the screens.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so first, thank you, by the way. So I think 9 of his 26 completions or something like that was at or behind the line of scrimmage. And obviously we text each other a lot throughout the game, and I bring that up a lot because, obviously I remember it and it's like a little flag for me. But in the first series, we complained both to each other about them running the ball 3 times. On the second series, they ran the exact same screen twice.
Yeah.
Twice. And then they did it later in the game. Did you notice that? Like I don't know if it was in the third or fourth quarter, we were moving the ball halfway decently, and then all of a sudden they do the exact same play out of the exact same formation again. It was like,
and I feel bad for Lockett. I feel like Lockett's been blown up more this year than he has in his whole 10-year carer. Like the dude's just out there getting punished. He's just out there getting punished. Like you don't have the roster to be able to run this type of offense. You just don't. And, we've seen so many coaches adjust and adapt to what their roster is and change the game plan and change the scheme and change the play calling. And we just haven't seen that in 2 years with Callahan. We just haven't seen him make adjustments. We haven't seen him make in-game adjustments. We haven't seen him make week-to-week adjustments. So I don't know. It's frustrating. I feel like this had to happen, whether the timing's weird or not. It had to happen. But I mean, let's not pretend that this makes them a better football team either. Like, it's still the same roster. It's still the same staff for the most part. Like, yeah, you might get that interim bump, but this isn't a team that's going to come in and roll off 5 wins in a row. Like, you still have a long way to go. So this was a good first step, but you still have a long way to go as an organization. And I'm sure we'll get into that more later.
A long way to go isn't exactly. I mean, all right. So, like I said, I'm a stat nerd. I'm sorry. I looked up a bunch of stats on Brian Callahan's time at the Titans. So I will, throughout the show, probably bring up the fact that our win percentage was I was giving him credit. 0.174. 0.174. I'll say that one more time. 0.174. That's ridiculous. It's tied for last. I think the Browns are worse, in a worse situation. But yeah, they're Cleveland. Do you want to be Cleveland Titans? So I mean, there's a lot of reasons that he needed to be fired. Does it make our team any better? I don't think so. I mean, like you said, we're not going to rattle off 5 wins all of a sudden, become a great team. No. But with Brian Callahan as the coach for the rest of the year versus something else, I don't even care what it is, just something else. No, I think you got a better chance with something else. just because I've seen what Brian Callahan can do for almost 2 seasons, and it's not great.
Yeah.
Not great is being really nice, because really it looks like crap.
Mhm.
It's the same regurgitated crap over and over again, even though we know it doesn't work. That's the crazy shit. Like, I could not
Mhm.
believe 2 weeks ago when I saw in practice they were having the wide receivers hitting the freaking the dummies. Like, they're trying to get the wide receivers to block better or something. I just don't understand what the thought process. I mean, from patty cake in the freaking and the crazy shit we were doing in camp, which,
Yeah.
I wanted to give him credit for being innovative and blah blah blah.
Sure.
But looking back on it, no, it was just I mean, it was an attempt. It was a futile attempt from Brian Callahan to try to figure out some way to get these guys to bond, because obviously he doesn't have that natural leadership mentality.
No, not at all. Again,
And
he
that's
never
what we
had
get from
control.
right, and that's what we get from firing him. People say we don't get any better. I don't know. I don't agree with that, maybe, even. Because of the fact that someone with a little bit of leadership, like we mentioned earlier, Fassel, I understand why they didn't give him the job, because they want to keep all the coordinators, and that actually makes sense.
Oh, I
when
think
you
they
think about
tried.
their
I think they tried.
continuity.
I,
If you believe the continuity crap they've been feeding us as to why they've kept Callahan around, it actually does track with trying to keep all the coordinators at their jobs and just hire, like, the offensive assistant or something like that. I mean, it does sort of make sense. But I am very interested to see who takes up the play calling duties. Does Bo Hardigree keep that, or does Nick Holtz get a chance to start calling plays? I'm interested to see if Mike McCoy just says, to hell with both y'all, I'm calling plays. I'm interested to see what he's going to talk about, which they've said in the press conference right before we get on the show that he was going to come out and talk about that tomorrow. So I'm really interested in that. But beyond all that, I'm sorry I went on like 4 different tangents there. But I will stop now and give you a moment to react to some of that.
well, so I know it's early, but do we start thinking about options? I mean, you don't bring anybody in this year, right? Like
No.
Mike McCoy, he finishes this out as interim, correct?
I mean, yeah, I don't see. I've never. Well, I mean, I don't leave it to the Titans to be the
That's what
first
I'm saying.
NFL team to hire a coach mid-season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So do you go with okay, let's look at, and I don't even know, maybe it's way too early to get into this, but if you look at what's out there right now and who's available, it's Mike McCarthy. It's I've seen Brian Flores name tossed
Yeah.
around. You're always going to get the groomers, the John Gruden rumors. Kingsbury. So Kingsbury's OC right now at Washington. I honestly like Kingsbury as an option. I really, really do. But I don't know. I feel like it'd be hard to pull him away from Jaden Daniels. He's in a really good spot right now. I don't know that when he wants to come back into coaching, if the Titans are the team to get him back in. Maybe. I mean, there's only 32 of those jobs out there, so maybe. But he's kind of got it made right now. Yeah, go for it.
Oh my God, y'all know I have mad love for my dude Tyler Rowland.
Yeah.
Locked on Titans, whatever. But he threw out a name of Kevin Stefanski.
Ugh.
And I just literally, that's exactly my emotion I had. I was like, oh God, no, please. No, I joke about the Titans being the Browns because we kind of are acting like the Browns right now. But Jesus, I don't want to actually go down that road, man. I can't, man. Louis, I feel you, brother. I feel you. It is frustrating, but just, I mean, this is what separates real fans from bandwagon fans. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. That's really what it is.
So past that, Then you've
Yeah.
got your guys who are on
Right.
staff. You've got Kingsbury. You've got, I've seen Bill's OC, Joe Brady. I've seen
Brady,
his name tossed around a lot. There's another one that's slipping my mind right now. I can't. Oh, but I think you've got. Okay, so here's where I'm going with this. I think you've got to wait and see what comes available, because I'm telling you right now, if Harbaugh at the Ravens is
Oh
let
my
go,
God.
because their season is not going the way they expected. Right, there are rumblings that he hasn't been able to get it done in the big games. He hasn't been able to make it to the championship game. He hasn't been able to put Lamar Jackson over the edge. Like, if there's a situation where Harbaugh's fired, that's
gold.
that's a slam dunk, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I in agreement on that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's the type of coach you wait for. I don't think they need to rush this, is where I'm going with that. I don't think just because Joe Brady's the name, just because Cliff Kingsbury's the name, like, I don't think that's who. I think you've got to interview multiple guys, and I don't think it needs to be a guy who hasn't been an NFL head coach before, because you see what happens like that with Callahan. And if they haven't been an NFL head coach, you have to at least make sure they've called plays, because that's the trap we got into with Callahan. It's like, this dude, he was with Joe Burrow. He's worked with Peyton Manning, but he never called plays. Yes, he's worked with good quarterbacks. Yes, he's been on winning organizations, but he had never called plays. And then all of a sudden he gets to the Titans and he's just ready to call plays. And we see where that gets you. So I do think it needs to be someone with head coaching experience, but if not, at least get a guy who's called plays before. That's where I'm at with it. I'm just praying that the Baltimore ship continues to sink and Harbaugh kind of falls into your lap, but it remains to be seen. We'll see what happens.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if John Harbaugh
we're deserved it. We're deserved it as
Titans?
Titans. As many
And
players, as many historic players as the Ravens has took from us, I think we deserve a little get back from the Ravens, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. And then I would not be opposed to him keeping Denard Wilson around, and I think that would probably be one of the Titans coaches we'd be able to retain with that. So I actually love that idea. I mean, people are throwing around on Twitter. People are throwing a lot of stuff around on Twitter, but and we talked about it before the show, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But a lot of people have been throwing around the name Mike McCarthy. Look, I'll be real with you, man. I was, my father-in-law, talk about it every now and then. Huge Green Bay fan. So when Mike McCarthy was fired from Green Bay, it was because of the same reasons that we fired Brian Callahan. It's just we are much more used to not winning than Green Bay is. Green Bay expects excellence at every game. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's a different culture up there. They've made a culture of that. So I think hiring him would be a mistake, and I don't really like that idea either. I don't really have a direct answer, but I don't know. There's yeah.
Here's what scares me. And we'll get into this later too, because I know Scoob has a take on this, but I feel like right now Brinker is calling the shots. For better or for worse, I feel like Brinker's calling the shots. McCarthy is Brinker's guy. I think Borgonzi needs to be the one to head up this coaching search, in my opinion. I think this next guy should be Borgonzi's guy, because that's what Borgonzi was brought here to do. He has a history of success with a winning organization. You bring him in to fix things, let him fix things. If Mike McCarthy is hired, for better or for worse, we know who's calling the shots, because Mike McCarthy would not be a Borgonzi hire. That would 100% be a Chad Brinker hire. So that would at least tell us who's calling these shots. I don't think it's a great idea. I mean, there are worse ideas. I'll give him that. There's worse ideas, but I just don't think that's the guy to get you over the hump. I don't think that's the one who's going to come in and turn things around. Like, that just feels like a stopgap option to me. But if he's hired, at least we know who's calling the shots on everything, because that is 100% a Chad Brinker move. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like if I was the Titans brass, honestly, the biggest question for me and would make the biggest dent in my search would be, what do you plan on doing with Cam Ward? How do you make him
Oh,
more
yeah.
successful?
Yeah.
And those kind of things. So yeah, I'm really interested to see but yeah, again, early telling. Oh, one name I did not mention that I did want to mention as the head coaching job, and I don't really know how I'd feel about this. I got a lot of people saying this would be a good one, and I don't know. I don't know that I agree with them, but I don't know that I disagree. Arthur Smith, former OC of the Titans, former head coach of the Falcons. I'm not, like I said, I'm kind of still out on him. I don't know, man.
Yeah, great job as an OC here.
Yeah.
But you saw how that went in Atlanta with what was thought to be a lot of talent. I don't know. I don't love that one. I don't love. And look, I'm okay with bringing in a defensive guy. Like, I really am. Like, I'm okay with bringing in a defensive dude, because it's about the staff that you put around you. And whoever is next has to be brought in, like you said, for Cam Ward. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm open-minded to a defensive guy if you give me a good OC, if you give me a good quarterback coach, if you give me a good play caller. Like, that needs to be, like you said, that has to be the question, is what is your plan for the rookie quarterback? Because you can't keep putting these bad habits out, or it's going to turn into a Daniel Jones situation in New York. It's going to turn into a Bryce Young situation at Carolina. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. He went through a number of bad coordinators before he found his footing in Tampa. So I don't want this to be a situation where Cam fails miserably at Tennessee and then has to go somewhere else to get a redemption tour. Like, that can't happen. You drafted him number 1 overall. He's your future franchise quarterback. Again, I was still team trade back, and it looks like they're going to get a chance to trade back again. But this is the guy that you brought in, again, for better or for worse. You have to build the team around him. You have to get him weapons. You have to put him in good situations, and you have to get somebody who can develop, because that's what we've lacked as the Titans for a really, really long time, is someone who can draft, develop, retain. We haven't been good at any of those 3 phases until maybe this year, at least at the draft part. But we just haven't. Like, that's how you build winning organizations. And we've been down in those categories for the last 4 to 5 years. And that's why you're at where you're at. It just is.
Yeah, and that's why I like Borgonzi. But let's hold off on the rest of this. We got a quick commercial break for the sponsors, and then we'll be back with Scoob Scoop to hear about what he thinks about all this. So stick around.
What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here. Are you in need of professional excavation services? Look no further. Red Zone Builders has the expertise, experience, and equipment to handle all or any excavation project, big or small. Whether you need land clearing, site preparation, trenching, foundation excavation, or any other excavation services, they have you covered. Their team of skilled professionals will work diligently to ensure your project is completed safely, efficiently, and to your satisfaction. Trust the experts at Red Zone Builders to get the job done right.
What's up, everybody? I know it's been a crazy night. Link, Max, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a good night. Well, everybody got their wish, didn't they? Looks like we got rid of our head coach today, so we'll see what happens with that. Everybody's been talking about who they want for head coach. In my opinion, I don't want a failed head coach. And Link, you said all the reasons why I really don't want Harbaugh. So I want a coach that's going to elevate the guys, make the team better, have a better scheme, obviously, because this scheme we're running now is not working. So I don't know who it's going to be. I don't have any opinions on who it's going to be. I just don't like any of the names everybody said. So I don't know how that's going to work. But besides that, this Sunday, it's going to be finally we get a home game back. I'm going to be there supporting the guys. All the other stuff is whatever right now. I'm just there for the boys on the team. And so they know that I'm going to be there supporting them. And hopefully we get a good head coach that can turn it around. And that's about all I got for my Scoop. Tighten up.
Right on, man. And I am honestly excited to go to the game next week, which somebody,
I am
because I
too.
mentioned it at work, and somebody's like, "You're excited to go?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Always
man.
excited to go.
It's the Titans. Yeah, it's a party. It's a whole experience, and who cares what the season holds there,
Right. Win or lose, I always have a blast.
In football, the grass is always greener
Right.
until it isn't. But again, I'll bring up another maybe two more crazy stats over the last two seasons. Yards per game is 285.5. That's last in the NFL over the last two seasons. Third down conversions, 35%. That's second from last. I mean, literally, I'm a stat geek, and I got on every stat website I could find, really, and looked at all the stats. This is before I knew he was getting fired. Looked at all the stats that I could find that would point to the fact that this dude is just inept at his job. And the Titans have to do something to satiate the fans, because we spend our hard-earned money to come in there and support this team. They need to at least pretend like they're trying to do something to make us win more games. Even if it's something they don't fully believe is going to make us win more games, freaking act like it. And that's what almost frustrated me with the press conference between Brinker and Borgonzi. Neither one of them looked like they were engaged at all. Like they just were just saying what they needed to say. Just let's get this over with, so I don't have to be in front of the camera anymore, and I can make my decisions behind the camera. I don't know. It's frustrating. You talked about Brian Callahan not holding players accountable for what they do. We as fans really don't hold higher office people accountable for what they do or the decisions they make. And there's a lot of Chad Brinker hate, and I'm not jumping on that train. I'm just saying that somebody's making these decisions, and it was Amy, and Amy, I believe, in this last go around with the office, basically said, I'm stepping back. I'm going to hire people to make these decisions for me, so that I don't have to make them. And from what I understand, that is Chad Brinker. That is who is basically speaking for Amy.
That's what he said at the press conference. He's been entrusted. Right. So,
and God, how soon do you think we see the M. Brinker we trust?
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous because, like, yes, Amy has took a step back and put other people in charge, but look at the track record and look, not everybody agrees with Carthon, but you go back to John Robinson, then you go to Carthon. Carthon's here for a year. Now you're at Brinker, who was hired by Carthon, who is now in control. Then you bring in Borgonzi, which I think was a pretty good move, but he's still under Brinker for some reason. So it just feels weird. And then I know everybody has an opinion about the press conference. I personally believe Amy should have spoken at the press conference, because whether you've taken a step back or not, no matter who you've entrusted, you're the people putting these people in place. I feel like you have to answer for the direction. You have to answer for the firings. You have to answer for who's leading the helm now. Like, you didn't go on the field for Mike Keith because you didn't want to get booed or for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Now you don't do the press conference. You send Brinker out there to do the press conference. They rolled Callahan out to explain a Brownlee trade that still hasn't really been explained. You had a pretty great game Sunday, by the way, if anybody paid attention. But it just, I don't know. Like, it's just the people that have been put in these positions. I don't know what they've done to earn these positions. Like, what proven track record does Chad Brinker have that he's above Borgonzi? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, again, I don't know. You've got to trust the process because it's the only process that we've been given to trust. But you're about to roll into a new stadium in 2027. And if you don't have these problems hashed out by then, like, it can get really, really ugly. So yeah, it's frustrating. It's just frustrating. And I want to believe that they make the right move and bring in the right guy, but they just haven't done anything to show me that they have the ability to do that to this point yet.
I kind of want to say a little bit more about that. So I work, and I use a lot of my work analogies for life because, it pretty much is my life. But anyway, I work for a guy. His name is Mike, and I work at Mike's Body Shop. We are huge. We're one of the largest body shops in East Tennessee. I'm pretty sure we're one of the largest body shops in Tennessee, period. But anyway, my point is, Mike is the owner. Me and his son basically run each division. He runs the body shop. I run the mechanic shop. But point is, Mike is involved heavily in the process. And sometimes it makes it more frustrating and sometimes it makes it easier. But I will say this. When the customers are frustrated with me or with Michael or with whoever at work, when Mike comes in, it's almost like a complete change in attitude because the customers are almost taken aback by the fact that the owner himself would come out and talk to them and explain to them what happened or what, why this happened or what misunderstanding, whatever the case may be. And he honestly cares. I mean, it sounds crazy, but like we have travelers come through all the time because we're right on Interstate 40. Mike, I've seen him many, many times talk to these travelers and say, hey man, this is my personal cell phone number. If you don't mind, whenever you get home, could you just text me and let me know that you made it home? And he genuinely cares about those people making it home, which makes my job all the easier, and it makes it easier to work for somebody like that. But my point is that Amy doesn't have to do anything because she's the owner. And that's her right. She owns it. She doesn't have to. I mean, she doesn't have to, period. She's as high as it goes. But when owners do get involved, I think it makes more of a difference on the outcome of what you're trying to say. So I totally understand why you say she should have been there, but I also understand her point of view of, I have hired people to do this. I don't have to do this.
Well, and there's levels to it too. Like, I don't want a Robert Kraft. I don't want a Jerry Jones. No, I don't want someone involved in the day-to-day operations and roster management. But like, when you've been this bad for this long and you had 2 failed GMs in a row and maybe 1.5 failed coaches, depending how you look at Vrabel, like, I just feel like you have to make a statement at that point. Like, I didn't expect a statement after John Robinson. I didn't really expect a statement after Carthon, even Mike Vrabel. But like, at this point, this has gone on for so long and you've been such a bad football team. Like, don't come out here and go on all these interviews pitching me a new stadium if you can't pitch me a better football team. I guess that's the way I look at it. Like, you want to talk about the new stadium, you want to talk about what's coming up, you want to talk about all this retention from PSLs, but you don't want to tell me the direction of the football team. That's where I take issue. Like, you only want to sell me on the good stuff. You don't want to be here when shit gets bad. That's where I have a problem.
And maybe also she realized that she isn't good at it, and she hired somebody that she thinks is.
Then tell me why you hired that guy.
I've been working for a company for over 10 years, and I've never met the owner. I don't know what he looks like. I've never seen him in my life. I've met multiple people that run the company.
Mhm.
I've never met the owner. Not
Right,
once.
but
I don't
but
even
they
know the
put-
man's name.
but they put the right people in place to
Right.
accomplish the job. And right now, you don't have people in place that have been able to accomplish the job.
Well,
You've
this
been
is
on a
Brinker's
carousel
second
of
year.
new GM, new coach, new GM, new coach. Like,
Right,
and now
I get
you've got two people doing the job that 31 other NFL teams think they can do with one person. And I don't know how that works. And I mean, I guess, again, I hope I'm wrong and I hope it does work, but it hasn't worked the last 2 years. So
Right.
I don't know. Like, that's where I take issue with it. When things go this south, I feel like you should at least give me a direction for the team. That's all.
And I think that's what she tried to do with Brinker, even though everybody doesn't like him. And now she's out of it. So she's going to let Borgonzi, like Borgonzi said, give him some time. This is Borgonzi's first year. I know all the other years people are pissed about, but this is Borgonzi's first year. So I know it sucks to hear patience, but
Well, no,
you got to
and,
give him
and
time.
again,
Our
I
team is
think
bad.
I think
have 5
Borgonzi.
stars. Most teams have 11 or 12. We have 5, if that. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, and I think, again, I think Borgonzi was the right hire. I just don't know why you need Brinker there. Like, I guess that's my thing. It's just weird to me. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, you brought, like, and that's going back, like I said this when Carthon was fired. Like, Carthon was just a fall guy. Like, that's my opinion. He was just a fall guy. I think that's the point. Like, if you're going to rebuild, clean house. Like, if Brinker was hired by Carthon and Carthon wasn't good enough at his job to bring in the right people, why then was Brinker promoted? Like, that's the issue I take with it. I agree with the Borgonzi hire. I just think it should have been just the Borgonzi hire. I think they should have cleaned house at that point. So, again, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I've got it all twisted about Brinker, and I hope I do. It just doesn't make sense in my head. It just doesn't make sense in my head. Like, you've essentially they even had to explain to the NFL who did what, like, because the NFL even questioned it. Like, so who's your GM? Who's making these decisions? Because nobody's done this before. So the whole thing's just weird. It just seems like I'm not saying they don't, but the reaction that a lot of fans have right now, myself included, it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing. And they haven't proven any different over the last 2 years.
Look, man, I don't disagree with you. I think Brinker, obviously, at this point, in my opinion, is like a vice president of the team or whatever you want to call that. He's a VP. And most of those guys you don't hear from. You know what I mean? You don't hear from those guys. They stay, and I think he likes to be a little more hands-on, and I think that's why it's kind of weird in the situation that we're in right now. Is I think he likes to be a little more hands-on than most VPs or whatever, because they just, I don't know. It is a very weird relationship, but I hope it works out because, good Lord, we need somebody to figure this out. And I think Borgonzi is probably the best. At least the best suited on this staff.
And we know that he is the player guy. He's bringing the players in, so he is in charge of making the team better.
More terrible.
He might not be in charge of picking the coach or whatever, but he is in charge of bringing the players in. They said that at the beginning of the year.
The more terrible stats. We had 44 turnovers over the last 2 years. 44. That's last in the NFL, by the way. And this year, the Raiders was our 4th loss by 10 plus points.
And it wasn't even that close. Like 20-10 doesn't even tell the whole story. Like,
Oh,
let's be
God,
real.
no.
Let's be real.
It was
That-
20-3.
Yeah, that was not
Yeah.
that was not as close as the fight.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part is like the Raiders are not a good football team. Like it's Geno Smith leads the league in interceptions. Like this was a very winnable game. And again, like if you look at what the defense gave up, like 13 points essentially. Like one of those touchdowns is completely on the offense, turning the ball over on the 2-yard line. Like the defense is playing well enough to win games. Special teams is playing well enough to win games. The offense is just so flat. And I think that's why Callahan lost his job, is because that was the one thing he was supposed to be good at, was changing up the offense. So that's why it's frustrating, like especially this loss, because you just came off a win with the Cardinals. And granted, you can look at it how you want to. They were given that win. Like the Cardinals did everything they could to throw that game away. Like it was not a Titans came out and dominated type performance, but they get a win. They're on the highest point they've been for the whole season. First one of the season. You come into a variable winning game against Vegas, and you essentially lay an egg on offense. Like it's absolutely inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable.
They just never could figure out any rhythm. Like you watch the game and you can't feel a vibe, you can't feel a rhythm. The offense can never vibe together. I don't know. This is weird.
Well, you go back to the Texans game. Where was it Nico Collins that was like, oh, we knew we won the game during warmups. Like they come out, they're not bouncing around. It's just, I don't know if Callahan lost the locker room. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But nobody has control of this team. And maybe that's the one thing that changes. And if that's the only thing that changes, then like you said, you're in a better position. If that's the only thing that changes, you're in a better position.
Yep.
I just don't know, other than Bones, I don't know that you have one of those leaders on this staff. Like I hope you do. I hope that's I keep forgetting the dude's name. I'm gonna have to learn McCormick. Is that Mike? McCoy? Okay, I hope he's that dude. Again, I feel like this was probably offered to Bones and he just didn't want any part of it. But somebody's got to step up and lead this team. Somebody has to take the reins. Somebody has to get it under control and right the ship. And somebody's got to be there for Cam Ward. Because
it has not been. Oh.
No, I'm just saying, like, we're going to get to a point where the habits are getting so bad that we're in a position of, okay, this dude's either going to get hurt or he's going to lose his confidence. And then you're sitting there week 9, week 10 talking about, hey, should we bench him and start this thing fresh next year with a new coach? And that's the point I don't want to get to. We're not there yet. But if things continue the way that they're going, the dude's going to either lose his confidence or you're going to get him hurt.
Yeah, and just a side note here. I'm sure it's pretty obvious, but Daddy Callahan's probably going to leave with the son. So we're left with offensive line coaches. I can't remember the one guy's name. The other guy, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but it looks like Scott Fuchs. I'm sure that's not how you say it. Maybe it's
Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock
or something, but I mean, that's what stuck in my brain. I don't know why, but it did.
Well, and let's before we end the show, let's go there too. I don't know if you've got a stat for it, but JC Latham might as well have stayed injured. Like that
30.
performance from JC Latham again. And I expected Max Crosby, like he's still a very elite edge rusher.
Beast. Yeah.
But that was an unacceptable.
You could tell it was really rusty.
I hope so. I hope so. That
plus going up against Crosby, your first guy back after not playing for 4.5 weeks is tough too. That's Crosby. Well, he really impressed me. I didn't think he still had that in him, but he does.
And it was just the amount, but it wasn't even just late. Like the amount of, and Callahan went, so I don't know really how many free rushers there was other than the one play. Like it felt like a lot of free rushers to the
moron.
Am I wrong on that? Like,
no, yeah.
Just
there
as
was
a whole,
lot of them.
And your two guys that were supposed to shore this up with Zeitler and Cush, like those were supposed to be your two anchors on this offensive line. They played just as poorly. So like
Zeitler
if you
beat.
lose Daddy Callahan, like bye, see you later. Like I don't know what you've really done for this team either, because both of these dudes were bought in to fix this offense, and it's done nothing but got worse since week 1.
Yep, absolutely. 100% agree. I am trying as quickly as I can to get to that stupid stat of the oh, here we go. All right. So Zeitler had two pressures, 2 sacks accredited to him. Latham had 3 sacks and 5 pressures accredited to him. 37.5 PFF score, lowest of the offensive line. Moore had only 3 pressures in the game, to kind of give you an idea of how lopsided that was. And yes, Max Crosby is a beast, but the other guys on that defensive line are not. But they do have very well schemed defensive fronts. They were able to play a lot of stunts and stuff like that confused the inner part of our line and the right side. They exposed a weakness that we had of pass protection in between Zeitler and Cushenberry and Latham. And geez Louise, man.
But there were still opportunities. But there were still opportunities. Like hit your check downs. You know, you can scheme to combat the pressure. Like if that was a one half of football and you saw what they were doing, like you have to be able to adjust. It shouldn't continue through the second half. Like that's my issue with it.
If you didn't have the same shitty running scheme, excuse my language, if you didn't have the same terrible running scheme that you ran every single Sunday, which is basically, you know, you're not going to get outside the tackles, so you're running in between the 2 tackles every single play. Doesn't matter whether it's a power or you're pulling a guard, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're still running between the tackles with 2 guys, one that's Tajay Spears, who does not do well with contact, and the other is Tony Pollard, who, God bless him, does do well with contact, but he is not a big dude. He's not Derrick Henry. He can't take the abuse that I just...
but explain to me if you know
Brian Callahan had to go.
If you know you can't hold up in pass protection, why do you drop Cam Ward back 38 times and run the ball 15 times? Tony Pollard had 10 carries. Tajay Spears had 5. Tony Pollard had 3.4 yards average. Tajay Spears had 6.2 yards average. But yet you're still dropping Cam Ward back 38 times this game. Like it's not that they don't throw the ball. It's how they decide to throw the ball. It's the routes that they run. It's not that they run the ball 3 times, or it is it's not when they run the ball, it's how they run the ball. It's how often they run the ball. It's like, that's the problem. It's just, if one thing works, they get away from it. We saw the same thing with Gunnar Helm early in the season. Like Gunnar Helm, that was working. And then all of a sudden they get away from it and Chig's in the game. And granted, Chig had a great game. Like he showed up in this one, but it's just the scheme isn't there. It's so frustrating because when something feels like it's working, they don't go back to it. And they're just so hard-headed with the way that they do things, with the screen passes, with the runs up the middle. They're just not diverse on offense whatsoever.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, there's no RPOs, there's no play action, there's no movement of the pocket at all.
There's not.
Exactly.
There's not.
And that's the point. And what have we seen that works? I've even said it 2 or 3 times. Cam does better on the hurry up offense. Yep. He does. I mean, give him 5 plays, let him go. You know what I mean?
It seems like the longer he sits back there, the worse it gets.
Yeah, and the RPOs, again, that's another play that he excels at, and they took it away. Play action, another, the shot, not the shotgun, but the move in the pocket from the play action. All these things are what he excels at. I had somebody today arguing with me that Cam Ward needs to figure out how to run as a quarterback, and I wanted to scream. I wanted to be like, wait a minute, you're telling me that we need to teach our quarterback how to not be a quarterback and instead be a running back? Are you stupid?
Well, it doesn't. He's got nowhere to go. He's got nowhere to go. Even if he wanted to run, he's got nowhere to go. Like
Well,
that's the issue.
And this is the thing, Titans fan. This is what I want to end my night talking about. Is we all get frustrated as Titans fans, and like I just said, right there, I called the guy an idiot. He's not an idiot. He's just a passionate Titans fan, and he believes in what he is saying is true, and that's how we're going to get more wins. Because being on the internet at this point, if you're a fan of the Titans, you're passionate already. But being on the internet arguing about how to make the team better, you're obviously a passionate fan. So, and we all have different opinions. So all I'm going to say is just show some Titans love. Don't be so hateful. You know, if somebody's got a different opinion than you do, we all want the same thing. We all want successful Titans, right?
Right. Yeah. That's another thing. Like I thought was funny. All these people that wanted to get Cam Ward, and then they turn around and say Cam Ward's better than the team. And the whole time I was like you, Link, trade back because we're not ready for a quarterback.
You didn't need a quarterback at that point. Absolutely. And look, I'm happy we have Cam Ward. I think his future is bright. I think he has an incredibly high ceiling, but this was the fear because now he's developing all these bad habits. He's losing his confidence. He's getting sacked. Like, you're putting him in a bad position because you didn't build the team around him first. If you look at the most successful quarterbacks, most of them sat behind a guy for a year. Like, that's just that they had the time to develop. Cam Ward was thrown to the fire with no weapons, a poor offensive line. Tony Pollard's a great running back, but like, he's not a Derrick Henry. So
and a terrible scheme.
Yeah, and a terrible scheme.
God, yeah.
And this was the fear. This was the fear for everybody who said to trade back. Like, you want to have a good unit before you get a quarterback. And at that point, I just didn't feel like you needed a quarterback. But here we are. You got Cam Ward. You've got to put him in the best position to win. And hopefully the next head coach and the interim head coach this year will find a way to do that.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
And again, like I said, we all have ideas of how to make the Titans win. But that's all we're all trying to get the same goal. Titans win. So
Exactly.
I mean, if you've stuck with us through this whole show, thank you. It's a rough show. Obviously, the three of us have different opinions as to what the Titans should be doing next. So, I mean, you know, let's see what happens. You know, we're on this ride. We're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, let's go. Let's see what happens.
And stay tuned with us. Stay tuned with us. A lot coming up. Mike Vrabel's coming to town. There's going to be a lot to talk about this week as far as practice goes, as far as scheme goes, and it just gets more fun from here.
And we're going to be down there on the visitor end zone, Max. So I'm going to try to get in there a little early because Vrabel likes to do his little run around the field.
He's coming for blood, man. Vrabel's coming for blood. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Vrabel always liked me. Vrabel always picked on me at training camp and stuff. So this can be
right
interesting.
on. Well, yeah, we will obviously talk more about the Patriots game Thursday on our pre-show, which we do hope you join us for. But until next time,
tighten up.
Tighten up. Peace out.